From Scripps Sports, this is Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Two Big Sky Players of the Week, a 24-point road ranked victory, and Montana State is 2-0 in the Big Sky season, coming home against Idaho State this weekend. Hello, everybody. I'm Keaton Glogly alongside Grace Lawrence. We've got head coach Brent Vegan and offensive lineman Titan Fleischmann joining us in studio in just a bit. But Grace, what a ball game for Montana State. Looked great at the end, but it was not all roses and sunshine at the beginning.
Well, a theme for the entire season, especially starting 0-2, was urgency, not panic. I mean, they're a younger team, so it's not panicking in those situations, but it's being urgent, finding the answer, making plays. And also, this is a younger team, like I mentioned. They needed to find who's that playmaker, who's that spark. I think it's Taco Dowler.
Yeah, no doubt. Taco Dowler, a 90-yard punt return touchdown, the longest in program history. And then it was a 3-and-out by the defense, leading to that Jabez Woods 79-yard catch and run. But that 3-and-out by the Bobcat defense really helped set this whole thing up in the middle of the game.
I mean, this defense is just phenomenal to watch. Coach Howe has those guys going, but that defensive line, I mean, Ty Pennington is a great quarterback. He was the newcomer of the year in the conference last year, but if you're under duress as much as he was, you're not going to have your best game.
Yeah, hard to complete passes from your backside, and one of the guys that was making sure Ty Pennington was not calm at all in this game was Kenneth Iden, who was named Defensive Player of the Week in the Big Sky, and Taco Dowler named Special Teams Player of the Week as well. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll sit down with head coach Brent Vegan and find out just how many times Ty Pennington was touched up by this Bobcat D-line. Back after this on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Back on the Bobcat Insider, Keaton Glogly alongside head coach Brent Vegan, coming off a 24-point road victory over a top 15 team. But coach, it was them who scored first. Northern Arizona kind of jumping off to an early start. What did you see early in this game against the Lumberjacks?
Yeah, there's some back and forth. I know offensively we put ourselves in some bad situations with some penalties in particular. Defense came out and got a couple stops, and ultimately, they had a short field, that scoring drive that they did end up pushing through. So there's no panic. I think that was the biggest thing, and ultimately Taco made the punt return that really turned the tide and got the momentum in our favor. And then it was wasn't clear sailing from them, but we certainly had some momentum and took advantage of it.
Yeah, it did kind of come rapid fire right after that, but Taco Dowler named Big Sky Special Teams Player of the Week. 90 yards, the longest punt return in program history. Tell me about what went right there and who else stepped up around Taco to make that thing happen.
Yeah, I think Taco would be the first to say there was 10 other guys. By the time he caught that ball backed up, he didn't have the open field exactly, but our guys did a phenomenal job of really creating almost half the field for him to run. And ultimately, we had a lot of hustle. Guys continuing to play. And really, at the end of it, he just had to beat the punter. So a long ways to go, but not a lot of obstacles in his way.
Right after that, then a 3-and-out, and then you get the big play to Jabez Woods. That throw by Justin Lambton seemed incredibly accurate. What did you see from him? Yeah,
he had one spot to put it, and it was coming off a sack he took the previous play after he dropped a snap. So, again, good for him for just going on to the next play. Really stood in the pocket and, had one place he could put it. I think he did a good job of moving the free safety, and Jabez was right where he was supposed to be, and the ball was on the money, and Jabez finished the play.
Yeah. Overall, what have you seen from Justin Lampson's accuracy this year?
I think it's been really solid. I think he's had a wide variety of throws, and for the most part, he throws a catchable ball. No one's ever going to be perfect in that regard, but I think he's allowed our guys to have opportunities to go get it. He's completing over 70% of his balls, and that's usually indicative of a guy that's putting the ball where it's supposed to.
So this was a part of 34 straight unanswered points you guys scored against NAU, but going down the stretch at the end of that first half, Taco Dowler took that late hit. It was flagged, but this was kind of a testy game. Emotions seemed very, very high. How do you feel like your guys handled just that high emotion environment in this game against NAU?
Well, I think between the whistles, we played the way we were supposed to. And anytime an opposing crowd can maybe fuel you, or a play like that can fuel you, I think if you use it for good, it's okay. I don't think our guys got lost in it at any point in time. So we knew that it was going to be a competitive game, and we knew it was going to be a potentially hostile environment. And I thought we handled that part of it well, and opened up that lead in part because we just kept our cool and didn't panic.
Yeah, another penalty there would have obviously hurt, but that was a touchdown drive where Julius Davis ended it with a high-flying finish. What'd you see on that big old play from Julius Davis?
Well, he got him around the edge, and he had a decision to make on how he was going to take on the unblocked guy, and he chose to hurdle him. And typically, he's had some success getting over the guy, but then not landing it. But he was able to land it and finish it in the end zone. So, he's athletic. I think it comes out of instinct. I don't think he's thinking about what he's going to do. He's just trying to make that defender miss, and he certainly did on that play.
All right, well, let's flip our attention now over to the other side of the ball. The defense was tremendous in this game. The numbers have been great. We'll start with Kenneth Iden, Defensive Player of the Week in the Big Sky. What did you see from Kenny Iden?
He was a real force. Disruptive all game long. He obviously racked up some stats, but beyond that, our defensive line really made it hard for Ty Pennington, and Kenny definitely led the charge there. There was 3-4 times that he got the ball out late. In addition to the sacks, I think we hit him over 20 times. So, great game for the front, and again, that's where it starts. And Kenny, that's probably as good a game statistically as he's had. So, very deserving of that award.
Well, on top of that, doing this where it really did feel like they kind of leaned on NAU and got better as this game went on. What did you feel from the conditioning and the motor of this team to do that at nearly 7,000 feet?
Yeah, and we played 80 plays of defense, and that's not easy. And we had guys that were 40 plus. We had some guys that were 60 plus in that game, and do it at elevation. I guess for one thing, but just to do it with the effort we continue to do it. And we're playing a lot of guys too. I think that makes a difference when you can be subbed out and the next guy's going to go in and do the job. So it's all about building a defense that's nonstop, and I think we've made some really good strides to this point, and that was definitely a good test.
Yeah, and then even in the secondary, Bryant Meredith with his first Bobcat interception. How special was that moment for him, especially considering he started his career at NAU, transferred to JUCO, and now to have a moment like that?
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I know for him, getting a chance to come back and play at a four-year school, play in the Big Sky, it didn't work out the first time. He makes the most of his opportunity at the junior college. I think he's definitely found a home, and he's a guy that continues to get better and better each week. And for him to have that performance back where he started, I think was really special for him.
And even Carson Williams, statistically, he got 3 pass breakups in this game. He's got 5 total on the year. Had that big breakup against the tight end down the left sideline in the red zone as well. What did you see from him in this game?
Yeah, I think Carson's a playmaker, and he's continued to become more and more consistent. His ability to break on the football and just his knack, his instincts, I think is up there as far as our corners go. And for a young guy, I think we knew he would continue to show up. And again, becoming a more consistent player is what we're after. But I think he's definitely on the right track.
All right, well, you're going to need that secondary against a very powerful offense in Idaho State. Jordan Cook, their quarterback, watching him in his last game in that tight loss against Montana last week. He can make every single throw. It seems like he's got an elite arm strength.
Yeah, elite arm. I think he's got a fearless mentality at the same time. And they got some guys on the other end. They got some size. They got some quickness. They got a really good blend of receivers that make it really hard on the defense, but then he's got opportunities to feel like he can throw the ball out there in 50-50 situations, and they're going to make the play. So, yeah, dangerous passing game led by a guy that can do quite a bit, and we're going to have to do everything we can to get pressure on him, but obviously our coverage on the other end is going to be critical.
Yeah, tell me a little more about that coverage. I mean, they're running out some 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys against your 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" cornerbacks. How you got to match up in that way?
Yeah, I think we got to mix it up. It doesn't, we're not going to play 100% man by any means, but if we do, our guys have to go challenge them the best they can, be physical at the line of scrimmage the best they can, ball in the air, they got to play as big as they can. I think those are the types of things, but when we're in zone, we got to keep it in front of us, make it hard for him to, make the quick read, I guess, and just make it challenging with the pass rush at the same time. A lot of their offense is him getting the ball out on time, and if we can disrupt that timing a little bit, I think that's going to be a big part of it. So it's really about all 11 guys more so than just our DBs out there on islands.
All right, a little rain in the forecast this weekend as well. Does that change anything for you guys when you start game planning?
Not for us. We're glad to be home, and whatever the weather is, it is. And I think for them, it's probably a little bit more challenging, I suppose, being a dome team. But football is meant to be played in all conditions, and we'll take whatever we can get. All
right, it's going to be fun conditions as usual at Bobcat Stadium coming up this week as we get set for Montana State and Idaho State. In just a bit, Titan Fleischmann joins Grace Lawrence, but first a timeout on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Bobcats are home this week for their only game at Bobcat Stadium in the month of October, and it's going to be an upstart Idaho State team on Saturday. Keaton Glogly back with Grace Lawrence before we talk with offensive lineman Titan Fleischmann. And Grace, for this Bobcat ground game, they have rushed for fewer than 50 yards in each of the last 2 first halves. Do you have any concerns about the running game right now?
I really don't, because I think the offense is so complementary. I think it really fits Justin Lampson's style. I mean, it's a new quarterback this year. You're seeing him finally mesh with Coach Sturbick's offense. We're seeing it kind of all come to fruition as we're now into the trenches of conference play. And I also think the ground game makes plays when it matters. I mean, Julius Davis's SportsCenter top 10 hurdle for a touchdown. Not only did that seem very great for him and what's in store for him the rest of this year, but it really was a defining moment for the team as well.
Absolutely. That was a part of the Bobcats racking up 34 unanswered points in this game. And at the end of this one, they still averaged 6 yards per carry in the victory. You mentioned Justin Lampson's ability to connect with his receivers. His accuracy has been incredibly impressive throughout the year.
And I mean, it's with an offensive line that's really shuffled around a bit. And, you know, we talked to Titan. He moves from tackle to guard. It's two completely different positions. JT's supposed to start the season at guard. He moves to center. They have injuries, but they figure it out. One thing about this offensive line under Coach Vegan, they always figure it out. And Titan Fleischmann, both his parents went to Idaho State. Last year when they played in Pocatello, it was a homecoming for him. We'll be talking to him about all his family connections and the game coming up after this.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome back into the Bobcat Insider. Grace Lawrence joined with captain and offensive lineman Titan Fleischmann. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys are coming off a big top 15 road win over Northern Arizona. What stood out for you most that game?
I think that with our slow start, especially like offensively, I think the best part, like what stood out to me was how we were able to rebound and like figure it out, right? Big props to Taco to kickstarting that for us. But like we took that momentum, and in an environment like that, in a pretty cool looking little dome, right? It's hard to get momentum, and football is a game of momentum, and we were able to find a way to get it, and once we got it, we held on to it and didn't let go. And so I think that's a very good learning experience for our young group that is learning and aging real quick. So.
Yeah, a theme this year has been urgency, not panic, something you talked about a few weeks ago, something's vegan stress, and it really shined this Saturday.
Yeah, no, it really did. Guys, we went in there, and guys, we were the first drive, I believe we stalled out with the penalty, and we went back to the sideline, and there was no panic. There was no panic. There was an urgency of we need to go down and score, but there wasn't a sense of we're in trouble. And so once we got that first touchdown, and then we got that second touchdown, it started rolling after that, and we're growing in a great way right now. We're doing very well.
Yeah, you were right there in the end zone to celebrate with Julius Davis when he had a hurdle heard around the college football world. What was your perspective?
Well, I saw him jump up, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I think one of the guys was like, he didn't just hurdle him. And I looked at the guy, and he was like, the dude was standing almost all the way straight up, like he got hurdled. And then Julius he was in his mode of in his ultra competitive mode, and tensions were pretty high in that moment. And so my biggest thing was getting down there to celebrate with him so that another 15-yard penalty didn't happen of some sort between us or them. Like I just wanted to get the game rolling and keep it going and have him go celebrate on the sideline. So, and I love celebrating. I love scoring touchdowns. That's my favorite part of the football game. Yeah, you also calmed him down after the late hit penalty on Taco. A few of you guys jumped over there to protect Taco. What was that moment like, standing up for your teammate but wanting to keep the game rolling? Well, first, I mean, the natural instinct of an offensive lineman is get in there and mix it up a little bit, right? Like, don't take a shot on my guy. But then when I saw other guys, the faster guys beating me there, then I had to be like, okay, hold on. I need to do a little damage control and make sure we don't get any dumb penalties here. So, and my first instinct was to go in there and be a part of the crew, and then okay, we got to get the guy sorted out so we can keep this drive going. Because we had a good drive right there, and we didn't want to lose that based on a dumb penalty. Yeah, spoken like a true captain. How has it been being a captain alongside JT Reed on the O-line this year? It's been really cool being a captain. I mean, it's a different shoes than I had last year. Last year I was kind of like the young guy on an old offense trying to figure it out, and now I'm the old guy on a young offense trying to help everybody figure it out. And I think that me and JT have done a really good job of that. Like, me and him talk all the time, especially like the flight home. We'll just sit there and we'll just talk about how the team is and where we're at and where the O-line's at and where we need to, like, the steps we need to take in the future. But I'm really glad I have JT there to, like, help me develop my leadership in a sense too. So I'm grateful for JT. Yeah, this flight home in particular was pretty fun. It's always fun after a win when you guys are celebrating. But Coach Smith as well, how has it been having him lead your room? He's awesome. I really like Coach Smith. I think Coach Smith is we're a very lucky group to have him, because I said way back in the beginning of fall camp, I think it was like the day before fall camp actually started, I said Coach Smith is very eager to learn, and he's constantly willing to learn. And that's hard sometimes with football coaches. And then in the O-line room where you got a bunch of old grumpy guys in a room that like heads start to butt a little bit. And he is always willing to learn from us and from other coaches. And I think that trait is going to carry him a long way in his career, just of being open to learning new things.
Yeah, how has your O-line meshed now? Burke Massell back a couple weeks from injury. You guys all kind of in your positions. How have you seen the offensive line come together?
Well, there's more of a rhythm. The few games where it was kind of like we were playing like games a little bit on the O-line, we were kind of playing games with the rhythm of the offense. And once we kind of settled in and started rolling a little bit, guys have been more comfortable and just understood like you're not going to really play two jobs anymore. This is your one job. My brain goes to Cedric Jefferson. That dude has been playing very well the last few weeks, and we need him to continue to play well, and he will. But I think that with the O-line finally figuring it out in terms of their position and what we're doing, the offense is now starting to figure out like how we're rolling. So. Yeah,
and you're having to take on a similar role as Marcus did last season, moving to guard. What's that been like this year?
It's a lot different than tackle, I'll tell you what. Stuff's happening a lot faster. I have to play a lot quicker and a lot lower. And at tackle, you can get away with playing tall and being a couple steps behind. But guard, you have to have your feet in the ground and you got to go quick with low pads. So I'm still learning, and it's fun because every day of practice is new, and I get to grow. I get to see a lot bigger strides of growth, right? But it's been an interesting transition, and it's been fun to say the least.
Yeah, last year, so Idaho State is the competitor this year, but last year when you played in Pocatello, it was a homecoming for you. What was that like to go home and play at home?
You know, it was cool. It was cool. I was really glad that we went down there and took care of business, first and foremost, because I had a lot of family there, and I had a lot of people or a lot of friends that were in the stands, not necessarily supporting Idaho or Montana State, more so Idaho State. So it was fun for me to go down there and get a win in my hometown. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it this season. I'm looking forward to this weekend. This weekend will be fun.
Yeah, and your mom played basketball there, so you had some family ties to that school. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my mom was actually, it's funny because she was a really good basketball player. Still is a good basketball player. We play Lightning sometimes as a family, and she smokes everybody, right? But she, yeah, so she played basketball down there. I think she won a bunch of awards of some sort as a freshman. Like, she went in there and played quick, and I couldn't understand why because she had some bigger schools. And she was just like, it was my home. And I never truly understood that until I came to Montana State. And now I'm like, okay, Mom, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, this is my home, you know? And then my pops, he played football down there. He's kind of like duct tape. He was like Swiss Army knife. They'd have him do O-line, D-line, tight end, linebacker sometimes. Like, he was just kind of the guy that would fill in. So both parents played there. Yeah, I got a lot of friends and family there, so it'll be fun. I think a lot of them are coming up, so it'll be fun. Yeah.
How has Montana State become home?
How has Montana State well, first of all, is the connections and relationships I have, right? Just after the games, all of the people that I know come and say hi to me. I've created a life up here. Through football, right? I've been through some struggles here, and Bozeman has given me opportunity to stay here and keep working here. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing the game that I love. Even through the injuries and the struggles that I've had, Montana State has always been there to keep giving me that opportunity. And I love the mountains. And so seeing those mountains every morning make it feel like home.
There you go, a journey that I know has inspired many. So thanks so much for joining me today. And then stay tuned because Keaton and I will be previewing that matchup coming up against the Bengals this Saturday right after this.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome back into the Bobcat Insider. Grace Lawrence joined alongside Keaton Galogli. And as we wrap the show up, we look ahead to Montana State taking on a hungry Idaho State team. I mean, we were on the team plan. I think everyone was tuning in on ESPN Plus on our phones to that game against Montana last Saturday where they took the Grizz down to the wire, and that offense looked awesome for Idaho State.
Yeah, it was a real shootout in Pocatello last week. Jordan Cook, the quarterback for the Bengals, is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the Big Sky. He's making throws nobody else can make. Talking running to his right, throwing back to his left 45 yards on a frozen rope dime. This guy is one of the more impressive guys at this level of football right now, which means this Bobcats secondary, which has played very, very well, has a chance to really prove that they are the elite pass stoppers in the league right now.
And that secondary has battled some injuries, and they're still playing at a super elite level. Keaton, is also going to rain. I'm going to have to bring a raincoat or an umbrella to the sidelines, and that could affect, though, an offense like Idaho State's.
It will, and it was one of the first times we won't have a Bluebird Day at Bobcat Stadium, but I'm sure it'll be a fantastic environment anyway. So grab your rain jacket, and we'll see you at 11th and Kagi coming up for this 1 p.m. kickoff between Montana State and Idaho State. No show next week for the bye week, and then we are right back into the rhythm for the home stretch. Until then, this is the Bobcat Insider.